the things we do for you, sweet dear listener, let me tell you. Matt, Felix, and I have just got done watching about 2 hours probably worth of content.
Felt like 8.
Well, we've just got done perusing the incredible selection of original programming that is now available on the new streaming service, Fox Nation.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, I have subscribed to Fox Nation, and let me tell you, it is worth every penny.
It is.
It's like, have you ever imagined what the content that's too stupid and low rent, even for Fox News or Fox Business Channel, is like? Would you ever want to see 10 shows all hosted by Greg Gutfeld? then please subscribe to Fox Nation.
This feels
right
like
now.
Fox Nation, like for Greg Gutfeld, it feels like a birthday party that Greg Gutfeld's mom organized. I have to say, like today, you know, I had a good day. I slept 8 hours. I woke up before noon. Eve. I woke up at 10:30 today. I went to the gym. I ate really well, but I feel like I just pulled an all-nighter and just ate brown meals. I feel like I have indigestion. That network gives you the feeling of indigestion. It's just very brown doldrum pump through your brain.
Yeah, there's a lot of Gutfeld. You know, you can get up in that Gutfeld if you want. But there's also, they organize it not just by the show, but by the personalities.
Yes.
Which means that you have a choice of dozens of identical blonde women with probably Fox News mandated breast implants, all of whose names sound like Williams-Sonoma catalog items.
Yeah, what was it?
Ainsley Earnhardt.
Ainsley Earnhardt.
Yeah.
Carly Shimkus.
Cat Timpf.
Cat Timpf is not a real one.
Florpy Flap Slop.
I just want to read a little bit. This is from the Daily Beast coverage of it. So it's a subscription-driven online video channel. It's like this is their Netflix, and like I guarantee you, like the dream is to have like original TV shows and movies and crap like that. But it says here.
Do you think old people invite each other over to watch Fox Nation streaming and fuck?
Well, no, like old people are like it's like they all share one Fox Nation password. And they're like, hook me up with that Fox Nation password. I need to watch. I need to watch First Thoughts with Tommy Lahren. But I just want to read for you. It says, at first glance, Fox Nation appears to be a cornucopia of fresh content. A closer look, however, reveals most of the programming to simply be old far-right documentaries with titles like The Great Food Stamp Binge and United Nations Blood Money, most of which aired on Fox News or elsewhere up to 10 years ago, though many have misleading air dates. There is a Greg Gutfeld-hosted program about car chases titled You Couldn't Stop Watching. We didn't actually see that one. There's Stuart Varney is on it. All the stars are on
your
it.
star favorites are here.
Some guy-
Joseph Mengele the Fourth.
This is like
Biffy Caltrops.
This is like the sort of Derwilligers battalion of media.
I know you mean Derwangler, but
Derwangler, whatever.
Derwilliger, that's
all those
like
I'm
Sideshow
sorry,
Bob.
all your culture's names are stupid.
It's a Simpsons thing. It makes it sound like it was Sideshow Bob had a death squad in World War II.
Might have.
I mean, again, just doing a brief sampling of what's on offer on Fox Nation, the streaming service. Here's what is apparent. The production values for this are being kept rock bottom. Is how they're going to make money on this for sure. Like most of the stuff looks like the swipes and like title cards and shit look like it was made with iMovie. And
absolute.
Do you remember those old embedded videos that Trump used to post on Twitter that was like my trip to Asia? It looked exactly like those. Like with the same like slow swipes and shit like that.
And like, you know, we've taken it for granted now that since its inception, Fox News has been just an organ of propaganda for the Republican Party. Like Roger Ailes founded it with that express purpose. But what's fascinating, I guess, about Fox News, but especially Fox Nation, because this is really like the low rent shit where they can, you know, really get some of that more, that sort of more pure product out there, that raw shit.
Yeah,
is like not only is it an organ of propaganda for the Republican Party, it's actually not. It is. There is absolutely not a shred of pretense that anything on this at all is not just pure propaganda for Trump specifically. And we'll talk about the one main thing that we watched all of.
Yeah, there was one.
There's one.
Good piece
There's
of
one
programming.
actual that we watched literally all 40 minutes of, and it was one of the genuinely one of the funniest and most fascinating things I've ever seen. But before we get there, I think we should let the listeners in on some of the other programs that are available now streaming on Fox Nation.
Okay, so there's this awful quiz show where...
Wait, can we go through them? I have all down. All right, let's start with Tommy's first thoughts.
Yeah, so first thoughts, I kind of like the name of it because it just implies that it's just some half-baked shit she threw out there whenever she heard like the headline, not even read the story, but it's just YouTube videos. YouTube videos for like parents who they tried to get on YouTube, but they entered one letter wrong and went to some Russian site that steals your credit card info specifically for old people that make that mistake. And it's pointless. It's
just her 2-minute kind of rants, and she really sucks at narrating things. She's like doesn't have
even worse than me.
Yeah, the first one was about the gas protests in Paris. And she's like, memo to liberals. This is what happens when you raise taxes on gas. And basically, it started out about how horrible it was that like all these people were injured and the cars were on fire all over Paris. But then she basically came around to supporting the protests because
she was basically in favor of them the whole time.
Yeah, they're rural French people protesting against big government gas taxes. So she's basically in favor of those protests.
French teacups. What is like an equivalent to a bungler that they would say about Macron? I don't know enough French.
Ooh.
This is a listener quiz.
Yeah.
Listener quiz. If you can think of something a French teacup would call Macron, you win. I don't know. I'll buy you a fucking car. I won't remember to do it. You won't get mad at me. Tommy's first thoughts was mostly just fucking pablum. Just like all her videos are supposed to like, really trigger people and get like 60-year-olds to be like, ma'am, I would love it if you took my son's arm in marriage.
Yeah.
But there was one thing I liked because it just betrays like what a bad thinker she is, where she goes, it looked like the scenes of a sci-fi battle. And it just it looks like any like riot in a city. There's no sci-fi shit. Just a fucking dunce.
And then the second one was, of course, about, the immigrant invasion that's currently ongoing. That was actually a big theme of many of these shows.
It was basically, you flip through it, it was just a bunch of ham-faced monsters using joke voices to make fun of child migrants being gassed.
Oh, Dios mío, there's gas in me ass.
It's a spicy meatball. Yeah. Oh, no, this is a hot tamale. That was basically it.
I mean,
fucking the Crisco-basted face of fucking Harlan Hill. Not Harlan Hill.
Harlan Hill's dad.
Harlan Hill's dad, Todd Starnes, going, meanwhile, just if he underwent like a fraction of the hardship of any one of these people, this guy is basically on the verge of death and he makes 6 figures and lives in Park Slope. How the hell would he even survive on the fucking Honduran border?
Actually, one of the arguments Tommy made against the caravan, and she was like, you keep hearing in the media that, these poor people, they've walked so far, while they've ignored reports about some of them hitchhiking and taking buses. And it was just like, some of them came, traveled this distance hanging on to a semi. Lazy.
I like how, the demographic of people who will like wage a crusade against a Ruby Tuesday that doesn't honor a 2-year expired coupon because they drove 15 minutes. They're just like, some of them even got to sit down for some of the rides. So.
Tommy Laren's first thoughts, I grade it Tommy Laren's only thoughts. Am I right, folks?
Zing.
Just dull. Just fucking.
No, and the other thing is a lot of this content is just repurposed shit from Fox News that they're using to pad out their offerings because they've promised a lot of shows that aren't here yet. The Steve Doocy cooking show's not here yet.
Yeah.
The show where the wrestling oaf talks about how PC culture is bad isn't on there yet.
Well,
so they're using those Tommy's Thoughts things. Those are from her hits on regular Fox News, and they're just throwing them on there.
So I guess like a lot of like some of the segments are called Meet. There's one segment called Meet Tommy.
Yeah.
That was like where she literally goes back to her high school in South Dakota and walks around town. And then there's one called Meet Tyrus. So I guess they're trying to like introduce you to these sort of new, younger Fox News, Fox
Don't
Nation.
Don't be scared of them.
Yeah.
They're not here to steal your clock radio.
We'll get to those. So Tommy's first thoughts, again, just like 2-minute clips of her rants that are repurposed from Fox News. You already know that. I'm sure you've maybe even already seen it. You can pretty much guess what they are. Okay, speaking of dull, let's move on to The Wise Guys. The Wise Guys you're talking about some characters, okay? You're talking about, imagine this show. The Wise Guys should actually have been called the 5 people you meet and have dinner with in hell. Imagine a totally empty restaurant where you have to sit at a table and listen to Byron York,
Yes.
Bill Bennett,
Oh, fuck yeah.
Mark Penn, Molly Hemingway,
Yes.
and Pat Buchanan have
me
a conversation for an hour and a half. That's how long we went from Tomy's First Thoughts, which was 2 minutes, to an hour, a 90-minute show that's filmed in an empty restaurant of 5 corpses looking at each other.
Lit like the fucking the room in the first Saw movie. You know, with the fluorescent lights.
It's flickering.
And fucking Gary Elway's sawing his foot off. Just like lit in a way to make them all just look like cadavers who've had their shoes filled with sawdust and propped up at these fucking tables.
Yeah, the lighting of the entire network, actually, I noticed that it looked like the exact lighting of the pedophile couple from Running Scared.
Yes, exactly like that.
It was like the lighting guy didn't like anyone on this network.
Well, it doesn't help that most of the people on this network are near death.
Yeah.
Like you got a guy who's 900 years old, like Bill Bennett or Pat Buchanan, or a guy who looks like he's 900 because he's been eating nothing but fucking Clinton campaign fucking lunch tray platters for the past 10 years. Mark Penn, they just look like they're all wearing diabetic support hose underneath their fucking pinstripe pants.
Except for Molly Hemingway.
Yeah, it fucking looked good.
They're sallow. That you can see like rims under their eyes. They look like little hogs.
But like the energy is like Wise Guys is probably like that's probably their most mature offering.
Oh yeah.
You know?
Not a lot of.
This is like if the McLaughlin group again were held in a restaurant and lasted 2 hours.
No, fuck you. The McLaughlin group way more so much better.
Yeah.
The McLaughlin group fucking
They had
ruled.
energy.
Okay.
McLaughlin was a
You're right.
pimp.
McLaughlin did. Yeah.
McLaughlin was so pimp when he would just be like, Pat, what do you think about the SS?
Warren G. Harding was a Negro. Tony Blakely, your thoughts.
Yeah.
Go.
And so this was probably the most dull television I've ever seen.
Yeah.
It felt like
This is like if everybody at the McLaughlin, you went to the McLaughlin group right after getting dental surgery.
It was like
no energy.
It was like fucking purgatory.
Yeah.
It was just like the scene in Dante's Inferno where like they're walking around and everyone is like buried up to their neck in ice or something, but they're talking to you about the midterm elections.
Brutal.
Yeah, I mean, you know what I noticed? Pat Buchanan barely said anything during this.
Yeah.
Because it was like, he was probably so bored.
Oh, God.
Because they're like, so I noticed a lot of military members are running, but they're Democrats. And Pat Buchanan's like, oh my God, I had all this stuff about the swimming pool at Auschwitz, and I'm just not going to be able to talk
When
about it.
are we going to talk about Dresden?
Yeah, Pat Buchanan had all this shit where he's like, I have a list of all my favorite members of the SS who were honorable, by the way. And it just, all it is just Mark Penn talking about, like,
soccer moms.
Arby's voters.
Yeah, awful.
At one point, the horrific, just shambling, towering mountain of Bill Bennett uttered the phrase, "If I were a suburban woman," and that's when, like, I just honestly, like, it was like
I was dead.
It was like Hellraiser.
Yeah, we all
yeah.
experienced brain death.
Just ego death happened.
Yeah.
It was like, ayahuasca or something. What?
It was one of the most boring. Like, there are literally shows in other countries where it's like it's a joke in a book, but it is a real thing where it's just like it shows a train going from one destination. That would honestly be so much better than this.
Well, that's calming to watch. This is just like, it's like you're on, even despite how dull it is, there's just like a certain air of tension because, Pat Buchanan is just thinking about, it was a transit camp, not a death camp.
Pat Buchanan,
and then Molly, just God knows what's going on in her head. Just like that backwards chant from Eyes Wide Shut is just permanently on repeat.
That's amazing. You have two amazing. Like, Molly Hemingway has some of the best takes.
Oh, yeah.
And Pat, like, what can you? Pat has
It's
been
Pat.
at it. It's Pat. Pat has been at it for 50 years, just being like, middle Americans want a president who will stand up to the Jews in the Holocaust industry. And it's like, how do you have those two on and your show is literally the most boring thing on the streaming service? Just, let him be real.
I love that it's called The Wise Guys.
Yeah,
You
because
know,
they
like,
are
yeah.
trying to evoke sort of a mob, because that's why it's at the table.
Yeah, it's at a restaurant.
It's
exactly.
like, hey, you know,
we're
it's
having
like
a
the
sit
guy,
down.
we're having a sit down. And the thing is, that works when you have like the real, like the steak and hooker bottles and models, like 5 minutes from us cocaine heart attack guys, like that fucking
Bo
Eric
Dietl.
Bowling and Eric
Bo
Dietl.
Dietl, yeah.
That Eric, those guys, those New York guys.
Yeah.
But these guys, for the most part, are pencil neck DC twerps. That doesn't work. It's the wrong vibe.
Oh my god, dude, Bo Dietl is not on Fox Nation. They need to
Insane.
give him a show
he's too
where he's
good.
just at Rayos, and
Yeah.
like he's just
It's-
slurping his macaroni.
Yeah.
And it's like his show is just that scene in Wolf of Wall Street where he comes in and he's like taking pills and he's like, last time you did this, you put your face in the macaroni.
How about
Yeah, it's called Clean Shoot with Bo Dietl, where they talk about a police shooting, and wouldn't you know it was a clean shoot.
Well, actually, they do have the Mark Furman Diaries.
That's literally what that show is.
We'll get to
just
Mark
taking any like black child who was killed and being like, actually, he had a RPG.
We'll get to the Mark Furman show in a second, but Bo Dietl must have a talk show on Fox Nation. If these fucking corpses can have one, we need to see Bo.
But I think that's the point of Fox Nation. I mean, you know what I realized during this, like, what a talent Sean Hannity is compared to just Todd Starnes. Just nothing. He has nothing. He has absolutely nothing. Like, Sean Hannity has this like confidence when he gets on. He's like, Democrats say that they're not racist, but they're racist to Republicans, and it's like he's just so confident. That
Well,
he has
it's
this
all the
bird
working
brain.
out he does with Chuck Liddell,
Yeah,
you
his
know,
new
and like,
street style of MMA.
yeah.
It just like this is the B team for
Oh,
sure.
this is
Everyone
the
on
D
this
team.
yeah.
Okay, you mentioned Starnes. Let's get to Starnes. He's got a show
Just
called
bad.
Starnes Country. This just again, he's just
We're the only county in America where every citizen is his own zip code. You sit around Starnes County. Folks. He's fat.
but he also has the most like pipsqueak baby face as well.
Yeah, he has I wouldn't say gravelly voice, more of a gravy voice, but no, he has like a sort of smooth, deep voice that is smooth like gravy.
Now he reminds me of Stefan Heck said this week to Eric Erickson, but I think it applies just as well to Todd Starnes. He said, "How do you have time for all this when you have to keep alerting people that a Warner Brothers cartoon is over?"
Oh my god.
But so it's Todd Starnes, and it comes on, and there's like a countrified font underneath it that's like sort of cowboy and gritty.
Yeah, this is how we do it.
Contrast that with Todd Starnes' face is hilarious.
Yeah.
And then like it just opens up, and it's just, again, in the goofiest way imaginable, the most ghoulish propaganda like you could ever possibly conceive. He literally says, this weekend, an invading army of illegal aliens attacked our border and our border patrol. It was an act of war.
Yeah, it's like Augustus Gloop, but he's editing Der Stürmer. It's horrifying.
And then, as we've alluded to before, he goes on to literally make fun of children being gassed. And then he says, nobody's asking the real question. What kind of parent would put their kids in harm's way? Of course, the vast majority are grown men and teenagers who want to cause mayhem.
They want to pull my pants down and laugh at my little penis.
yeah, I just hate Todd's. I've always hated Todd Starnes because this has always been his act, like being like, I'm just a good old country boy. I guess my only vice is grits. But then, like, he had that book, God's Grits, that was Mike
That was Huckabee, who was one of his panel guests
so
on
it
the
was
show.
called. Oh, what the fuck was the name of?
Oh,
his
they opened
book?
up my like they opened
Yeah,
up my hood.
They checked my dipstick and egg gravy on it.
Yeah.
it was like now I'm just a good old son. When I'm in New York City, and then it just like. Now, when I was a kid, Jews hadn't invented homosexuality yet. It just,
Do you remember he had a piece for Fox like when he was still like not just on Fox Nation, or he had some piece where like he's like talking about living in Park Slope now.
Yeah.
And he goes to a supermarket and he's like in the cheese aisle and he's like, there's like photos of him holding up and it's like a manchego and he's like, cool, can you believe this loony?
Yep.
A manchego? What the heck is that?
Yeah.
What in tarnation is this kind of cheese? And it like
It's
Like,
just-
dude,
it's-
like it's just you're in a supermarket.
As is always the case, these people who pander to the rube, idiot American hayseeds are way more hateful and condescending to them than people like us could ever be. Like Todd Starnes' entire career is a huge insult to everyone from the heartland of this country because he shows absolute contempt for them at every level and thinks, I have to give zero effort and just do the barest, laziest signifiers to you fucking dumb farm animals, and you will buy my shitty books and watch my disgusting face on television.
Well, I mean, Trump, not even trying, just like he will get up there and be like, we love just a whole country feast. Got your down home country lasagna and your Velveeta meal, so good. and like, yes, sir, we love you. But Todd Starnes does it, and Todd Starnes is just one of the least charming individuals ever put on TV. And it shows. Like, Todd Starnes got shit ratings at Fox News. He was only on there because, like, Rupert Murdoch, because he has dementia, was like, yeah, this guy's good.
And now he's at the kiddie table.
Yeah, no one's watching Todd Starnes except us.
Well, that's the thing is, the thing that we're really stressed about this is that it is, I'm going to predict, maybe I'll be wrong, it's going to be a fucking failure because these people don't know how to use the computer.
It's like we were talking about Alex's piece this week about the
Alex
Diamond and Silk
Lonash
movie.
wrote an article about Diamond and Silk.
Dummycrats,
which we're going to watch, I think.
Yeah.
in the
Oh,
future.
we got it. We got to have Alex back
it's
on.
only available to rent on Vimeo.
Yeah.
That's how you know it's good.
Let me quote the thing. I wrote it down. I took a screenshot because it was so funny. So it's only available on Vimeo, so old people who they tell it like it is. You know, those people, they're buying it, but they don't know what the hell Vimeo is. They assume that they're buying a physical thing. So one of the messages underneath the Vimeo is, and this is in Alex's piece, quote, I paid $19.99 and I thought it was on a DVD. It asked if you want to rent it or buy it, so I bought it, and now I don't know what to do. Love you, ladies, but this is very misleading. So guess I lost my money.
Wait, do they literally think that Diamond and Silk just like made a fake?
And they're apparently fine with it. That's how much these are hogs.
You got one over on me, Diamond and Silk.
Yeah, you got me again, girls. Well done.
It's $20 too. Holy shit.
Yeah. There's no way, like, signing up to watch something on the internet and then navigating a website to find your programs.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's
not many people are
not
getting this.
gonna.
Well, like a good chunk of it is pitched to a younger audience, and we'll get like
None of them are
we
watching
mentioned Tommy, and then we're going to talk about Tyrus in a second, and then like the fact that Greg Gutfeld has literally a dozen shows on Fox Network, on Fox Nation,
And he is
It's
like
sort
one of
of
the youngest people on that network.
and he's like 55.
Greg Gutfeld is like, he's like Ace. It's like Ace Rothstein's show.
And now the Greg Gutfeld dancers. Oh, we love to see them, folks.
Folks, it's Prussian blue.
They're woke now, dude.
Yeah, but you know, when we were all the Greg Gutfeld things, and then just the Fox Nation concept in general is like we were saying. Imagine the rapist dinosaurs who run the Fox network. This is their idea of what like is cool and like for an internet audience, that you can have on your phone.
I mean, you've probably seen Greg Gutfeld. Just like his jokes are like, oh, I'm gonna wear one of those horse head masks, or like, yeah, my gender is an attack helicopter, like that type of shit. You're like, even right wing people don't like find this entertaining or funny, but yeah, it's the 90-year-old rapists who run Fox News are like, this guy's hysterical. He's not afraid to go after anyone.
Two quick more things about the Starnes Country show. Starnes played a clip of some bald-headed psycho on Fox News, presumably a representative of, ICE or Border Patrol or something, say the following sentence: "We did not use kinetic force on any children."
We did not tactically separate any juveniles' heads from their torsos.
We have tactically ascertained a kinetic grouping of children scenarios.
And then the vast majority of the Todd Starnes show, which we did not watch, basically is just what he calls his all-American panel, which is just him having a conversation with David Bossie, Corey Lewandowski, and Mike Huckabee.
Hell yeah.
Why would you have Mike Huckabee on with Todd Starnes? He does the Todd Starnes thing better.
It's
like,
true.
It's like, I mean, Mike Huckabee, he's like he's just like, they both do the same thing of being an animatronic jamboree bear and racist, but like Mike Huckabee's objectively better at it. Like Mike Huckabee had a far more successful show.
No, if they were all at the Country Bear Jamboree, Huckabee would be on the washboard in the middle of the band. Todd Starnes would be like in the balcony. You know, he wouldn't even have an instrument. He'd just sort of be like waving,
gawping.
He's like the greener bear. I just had $1 million idea. We may have to cut this out because I don't want anyone stealing it. So it's just basically it's Oliver Stone's The Doors, but about a Country Bear Jamboree band. There's like the Van Morrison of Jamboree Bear.
Jim Morrison.
Oh, what did I say?
Said Van Morrison.
Okay, well, he was also a singer, so I don't really see how that proves your point.
And one last thing, Todd Starnes introduced the All-American panel by saying it's the best-looking panel on television, which is just absolutely not true.
I mean,
I think he was joking.
I know.
I mean, Cora Lewandowski has that square head that all Polish people have. Very desirable. But, just an awful hog man. Just rolling around in butter for all to see. Yeah. You hate to see it. You just hate to see it.
Yeah, David Bowie looks like a casino pit boss who is like a week from getting fired for fucking stealing chips.
All right, let's tear through the rest of them because we got to get to the crown jewel.
You subscribe.
The reason that
I caught a couple. I know Will was taking notes, but I got a couple.
Okay.
There's Lou Dobbs' prostate adventure. That's a good one. There's the open toe shoe report with Timberly Van Trunk and Carla Sponge. And of course, my favorite show. You've won a cruise. Send us your credit card number.
Those are all good programs.
There's one show called Meet Tyrus, and they're introducing this new character into the Fox News universe. Tyrus, who's a former WWE wrestler who became friends with Greg Gutfeld on Twitter and then became a perennial Red Eye guest, who they're now trying to have his own show called Un-PC.
That's right, folks. You thought it was going to be PC? Oh, you are in for a ride.
No, I literally turned on Fox News expecting a guy who's sipping a latte to tell me that Black Lives Matter and that he celebrates Kwanzaa. No, you're telling me he's not PC on Fox News?
Are you saying that this show isn't a safe space?
So it's just like, I love the idea that it's like, I have no idea. It's just a crazy series of events that I ended up on Red Eye. Just the show, like it was like when the Irish came in off the boats and they got drafted into the Union Army. That's kind of like the booking process for Red Eye. It's like, have you ever even been on like a podcast or anything? Yeah. Please come on. Please.
There was somebody in Times Square next to the dude trying to get people to go to Caroline's going, want to be on Red Eye?
Yeah.
Do you like to laugh and or be on television shows at 4 a.m? First of all, Greg Gutfeld, just awful.
Just like his rat face, like disgusting. And it's like he's aging terribly, so he looks even worse than he used to. His face is getting puckered. His cheek honestly looks like an old person's ass.
But basically the entire...
like there's puckering and cellulite. It's noxious.
Meet Tyrus was just an interview where Greg is interviewing Tyrus about how important a mentor Greg was in Tyrus's life. And they have amazing chemistry. They have amazing chemistry together. He says he's learned so much from Greg. He doesn't just bash people or make fun of them anymore, and he's evolved politically. Most of it is just clips from Red Eye and showing them like hanging out together like backstage at Red Eye. And there is one detail that I really like where there's a painting of Greg Gutfeld, presumably in his office or something, that's like the portrait of Dorian Gray if it wasn't working and they were both just becoming hideous together at the same time.
In tandem.
Literally rotting.
Yeah.
Look forward to Tyrus. Look forward to
I
his
gotta
show.
say, the guy, he tells it like it is. He's not afraid to offend people. When he tells an audience of white old racist shut-ins that black people should obey the police, he's not afraid to tell people like it is.
That is how Tyrus first got famous and really blew up. Is when he had a rant on Red Eye about how you must comply with the police and never resist arrest, while wearing a shirt that literally, I'm not making this up, says "My life matters" with a brain on
Giant
it.
brain.
Cool.
I mean, this is a hack observation, but it is funny thinking about how these people glory in the idea that they hate safe spaces and trample sacred cows, and that this channel is fucking. It is the most safe space I've ever observed. There's not a single moment where any thought that goes against the conservative hive mind is entertained for a second. It's a hermetic bubble. It is the safest possible. It's the fucking Travolta's bubble from that fucking movie, Boy in the Plastic Bubble.
Oh, I thought you meant Gotti.
Well, if that is part of the conservative hive mind, there are corners of that mind that are like the dark, scary attic or basement.
Yeah.
And that is reserved for a show that is called The Furman Diaries, which is literally almost the Turner Diaries.
Basically.
It's
It may
almost
as
like
well
they,
be.
like it's literally called The Furman Diaries. Almost, again, diary of a madman, just notes they're found in a serial killer's apartment after he
Bridget
goes
Jones's
crazy.
diary.
Yeah, shit like that. And the episode, it was just like the Mike Brown episode, and honestly, like we couldn't even watch it.
Yeah, no, we had
was
to
just
turn it
way
off.
too dark, way too dark. So moving on from there, there's the Dana Perino Book Club, where wouldn't you know it, she interviews Greg Gutfeld about his books.
He is everywhere. He is every single. Like, Greg Gutfeld probably stepped into a reactor a year ago, and they're like, we have found a way for you to be on 7 different Fox shows at once.
There's another show hosted by Rachel Campos Duffy, just called Moms.
This is Moms was like paid advertising for Xanax. Like, it was one of the most insane things. That was the only thing that approached the other good show. Moms was, I mean, you said it was David Lynchian.
Yeah, it was like David. No, it was like a little bit of John Waters, a little bit of David Lynch, and that it's these 5 just insane looking women who are either like really keyed up or like slurring. And just sort of
everyone
slow-mo.
was well medicated. I mean, that place was like. That was like the waiting room at JFK's doctor's office. Everybody was on some real shit.
Yeah, Moms is
But it was
like
just Moms.
Yeah.
Moms was, it was definitely the most interesting thing on there, besides one thing, obviously, but they were, like every other show, it just seemed like just a really old person trying to figure out what young people like. Like, hey, why don't we do YouTube? But it's on our own shitty proprietary video service that buffers at 480p for half the video. But with Moms, that was like the Fox sort of bird brain Xanax person thing I love, where it's just like just a bunch of ladies who are just, it's 3 p.m. They're on bar 3, and they're like, "What? We should talk about this fucking the things. Yeah, you have kids. It's different. Just have a show about it." It's just like Dana Perino, her show. I got a little bit of that suburban alcoholic vibe, like the harsh suburban.
She literally said it's a book club where you don't have to read the book.
With Dana Perino, there are 2 Fox News characters, right? Or 3. There's the rapist, then there's the jamboree bear, and then there's like the mean suburban mom who has some sort of chemical dependency and is trying to give one or more of her kids an eating disorder. And I got a little like the Dana Perino one where she's like, "Don't worry, you don't have to read the book." It's like, whoa, this is awesome. Like, this is like a barbecue in like Kokomo, Indiana, where everyone hates each other. I love this.
But again, the conceit where she's going to talk to renowned author Greg Gutfeld about his books, The Joy of Hate, The Untruths You Can't Say. And, one was just called like The Office Checklist, and it was about how to be good at work.
One of Greg Gutfeld's books was really literally transcripts of his rants from the 5. I'm reading a novelization of the show The 5.
I gotta say, I can't imagine. I honestly, when I hear there's a website you can go to on the internet, and you can click on a video and find out what Greg Gutfeld's writing process is like.
Great.
I mean, there's no price too high.
Yeah, they're just giving it away for that type of value.
Finally, I did read earlier that one of the documentaries is also called "Honor Killings in America." you know that big problem that is going on everywhere that nobody's talking about. That's finally going to be exposed.
I mean, I'm assuming they're not referring to the overwhelming prevalence of husbands and boyfriends killing their wives in this country.
No.
after
not
breaking
that.
up with them.
Oh, no, not that.
Or during custody disputes
No,
or things
it's about
like that.
Sharia law.
No,
Of course.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
It's about all the honor killings that are
Yeah, the
definitely happening.
10% of America that's under Sharia law.
Okay. Finally, before we get into the crown jewel, there was just a quiz show, just called Quiz Show, with Tom Shalhoub.
Ooh.
A guy.
That guy, he looks like Andy Daly's death mask.
Do you think they booked him because, like, whatever just syphilitic or dementia-addled executive thought they were booking Tony Shalhoub?
And this is like a quiz show where Tom Shalhoub gives just like wild, dumb questions to Fox News personalities.
who are up to the challenge of being as idiotic as the questions posed to them.
The episode we saw was with Fox Business superstar named like Alexa Navratilopoulos.
Some Greek broad.
Okay.
Yeah.
And at the end of it, she said, speaking of the movie Platoon with Charlie Sheen, she said that was a great book.
Yeah.
She thought
Platoon is not based on a book.
Platoon is not a book.
She's probably thinking of Apocalypse Now.
Which is also based on Heart of Darkness,
Right.
But you know,
I mean,
I highly
love-
doubt she's thinking of that too.
I just want to know what book she was thinking. I honestly, she was probably just assuming it was a book, and she thought she'd sound smart if she said, "Oh, that was." I read the book.
Okay, which now brings us to the crown jewel, the masterpiece, the thing that makes it actually worth subscribing to Fox Nation, which is a series hosted by Maria Bartiromo called First Family, that is documentary shorts about, you guessed it, each individual member of the First Family, premiering with the episode that is up now.
You want to start with a
Yeah.
real superstar,
Yeah, okay.
someone that everyone loves and wants to hear more about because
Yeah.
you want to sell them on the show.
A guy with a symmetrical face. Like someone people
Leading-
love looking
leading
at.
with a 40-minute profile of Eric Trump. Not Don Jr., not even
Not
Don Jr.
even Don Jr.
Eric Trump.
Eric.
This was honestly one of the most extraordinary 40 minutes of TV I've watched in a
Unbelievable.
long time.
We fucked up. This is the first thing we watched. We fucked up. Like, we honestly... because-
GoBot to Don Jr.'s Transformer.
like, to start with this, which was just... It was a tour de force. Like, there wasn't a single boring moment of it.
No, it was brilliant.
It was so... It was like... You know what? If someone who, you know, somehow gained Eric Trump's trust to make a movie about him making fun of him, I don't think they could do a better job than this.
No, absolutely not.
It's basically like if the Dirk Diggler documentary had taken place among New York real estate oafs.
Yeah. That's it.
So let's begin by just like some basic observations about how Eric Trump looks.
Oh, God.
Good.
Oh, boy.
really fucking good.
Yeah, we were just talking for like an hour after it about how good he looks and how easy it was to eat dinner while watching him.
How much we enjoyed the close-ups.
Yeah, Felix kept saying, like, keep zooming in. I want to see more of that face.
It was so good, man.
Okay.
That's my only critique of the documentary. They didn't zoom enough.
You wanted it to be more like an Errol Morris thing where it was just his face for 40 minutes.
Yeah,
no cut.
I want it filmed in 4K. Like,
I was like, is there a VR version of this that I can enjoy? I want to be next to Eric.
Okay. Eric, we all know what Eric's face looks like.
Oof.
I mean, I'm not the first person to make this observation,
troubling.
but he does look like the perfect fusion of Beavis and Butthead.
Yep.
He's got like the sort of like rat-like Beavis facial feature, but Butthead's like upturned lip and just sort of Butthead mouth. You know what I mean?
Yeah, he's like if irregular underwear were a person.
He also, since you've probably last seen him, has grown the world's worst beard.
God, it's so
the
bad.
worst I've ever seen.
Almost Ted Cruz level bad. Just
Like,
so terrible.
But because he's got that blonde hair, like when your facial hair is the same color as your flesh, it's
not good.
It's not good.
You just look
Not
like you
good.
have something growing, like your skin is molting. Is
Okay,
what you look like.
can we talk about just how wet and pink his lips look?
his lips, it looked like he sleeps with a ring pop in his mouth. It's so bad.
His lips were like
Dude.
magenta, and then the other he had two. He had three areas of really bright color on his otherwise just pallid vampiric face, and that was his grotesque mouth, lips, and then he had the underside of his eyelids were red, and they were just these violent, like kind of curves underneath his eyes. It was a nightmare.
Do you think it's like he just like put his hand in his infant's diaper and just rubbed it on his face. He's like, I'm getting a documentary made about how cool I am. I need the most pink eye possible. Like, he looks like, in this documentary, he looks like Vic Berger edited him.
Yeah.
Like, he's just not good, man.
And then the best detail of all, like the most like bird brain Facebook guy shit of all time. Maria Barton Fink Aroma, as I'm going to call her now. Barton Fink Aroma interviews him in front of an open bank vault.
It's so cool. It's so
Money.
good.
We got money.
Yeah.
We love money.
That is like
I like to be next to the money at all times.
That is like the Facebook guy shit of just like getting your picture taken next to an open bank vault and being like, yo, if you were real rich, you'd live with all the money.
Yeah. Yo,
I'd sleep in a big bank vault.
Yo, I love seeing the money when I'm making the deals. I'm like, yeah, that's why I'm doing them, baby.
So he's
He got all of his
Dumbass.
ideas about being rich from watching DuckTales.
And so he's being interviewed in front of a bank vault. I also want to make just a point that his clothes and suit also looked awful.
Awful.
He looked like
Awful,
shit.
looked like shit. And he was wearing a pair of shoes with he was wearing a pair of light brown shoes with a dark gray suit that made it look like he had parked his feet in like baguettes or something.
Yeah.
He just hollowed out, made a little bread shoe
Yeah.
for his little piggies to just snuggle in. And he's walking around like an absolute asshole, like a chinless, gormless doof walking the halls of Trump Tower. And the most amazing thing about this documentary is that it's predicated on what they assume is the self-evident truth. That Eric Trump is like a business genius and like corporate wizard, master of the boardroom, business powerhouse.
Yeah.
And like he could
Not just a guy who just literally works for his dad.
We saw what his work was.
Dude, okay, I want to get to that. But yeah, it starts out with him saying, honestly, I couldn't imagine life any other way. And then like
That's such a great thing for someone who was born into billions of dollars. I literally couldn't imagine another person's experience. I couldn't imagine my life turning out any differently. Me either,
I
man.
have a weird feeling of sort of that I'm maybe the only real person on Earth and no other humans' lives have any value outside of my own.
Yeah, Maria, the thing is, I feel like I could kill anyone. I feel like I am God.
I mean,
So it's
Maria, if we look out the window and you see those little ants walking and one of them stop moving, would you feel anything?
I mean, Maria, the thing is, every morning when I wake up, I think about killing a cabbie with a crossbow.
So Maria starts by asking him about his childhood. And it was honestly almost like the scene in Blade Runner where he was like, you want me to talk about Ivanka? I'll tell you about Ivanka. He starts out by saying, Donald, his father, wasn't the typical let's go play ball in the yard dad. He was a let's go to a 70-story construction site and, I don't know, throw cinder blocks at the striking Polacks who we've shipped over in a fucking crate and are not going to pay to do the wiring in this building.
Oh, and I like how Don Sr. is only in this documentary once interacting with Eric. Like there's other
it's
footage
so
of
funny.
him. Yeah,
Okay, like he comes into an office with Ivanka and Eric, just again totally play acting at like doing work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So holding a mic,
Holding a phone and just
Bam,
like
bye,
looking
sell.
at a computer screen and just like nodding.
Yeah.
And what is he like? He walks in and he's just like,
All right, see you later.
he's like, yes, doing great in here. All right, bye.
Oh man.
And Felix, as you pointed out, for a work of just pure propaganda for Trump, there are really way too many shots of Trump in profile. Not good.
Yeah.
Real not
and
real bad.
Don Jr. in
Yeah.
profile.
Yeah,
like,
chinless.
Like, can you get the worst possible angle of this guy's family?
Okay. Maria Barton Finkaroma says, tell me about your mom. And the first thing he says is, she's an incredible athlete.
Fuck.
What the fuck?
All right.
asked-
So one thing about my mom for sure, she has incredibly powerful thighs and quadriceps. I'm regular, by the way.
She asked him, what did you learn from your mom? And he goes, she's a disciplinarian. You know, we were opening doors. There was manners. She enforced discipline. So, you know, the mom, because obviously his dad didn't notice or talk to him
Right, of
at all.
course,
So,
yeah.
like, obviously his mom was mostly involved in raising him, along with probably what I'm assuming is
500
a
maids.
household staff.
Many of whom he
disposable.
dissected out of boredom.
And he goes, you know, and Maria Barton Finkaroma says, what does she think of, you know, your father? and he says, if you ask her, she will tell you he's the greatest president ever. And that's a lot coming from an ex-wife. Another thing of like, we were also noticing again with like the family shots of like at the White House, dude, I really hope I'm going to keep the subscription long enough to see their whole run of this season, because I really want there to be both a Jared episode, but also a Barron episode.
Oh God, yes.
We need to know more about Barron. His limbs are so long.
He is Slenderman.
Barron's episode, because he'll get. I mean, he's the most powerful Trump kid. Like, he'll demand how they make it. It'll be the first anime ever on Fox Nation Network.
Just by the way, parenthetically, I just found this out recently. There is on the keyboards, there is a Q belief that Barron Trump has just been secretly declared the world's youngest ever chess grandmaster.
Secretly, he's done this in secret.
Of course.
Why keep it secret?
It wouldn't look fair. You know, it would look like it was.
Damn, that's like that movie First Kid.
Well, you know, it looks like they're trying to curry favor with the administration or something, so they have to do it secretly.
Okay.
I mean, I also like the conspiracy that Steve Bannon is Barron Trump from the future.
I love that one.
That one coming back to make America great.
Okay, so there's another great part where he's telling Maria about how growing up, like, you know, he would work on construction sites, I'm sure.
Oh yeah.
And he said, you know, working teaches you to grow up. And when you work long, hard hours, you wake up at 7 and you get home at 5, you don't have time to go do drugs. He literally says that. And like, they show you what his working day is like in this movie, and he is not doing shit. He's not even doing a crossword puzzle.
So what they do is, and this is very obviously what they do, is that they have him walk through different Trump businesses. Like, and the way that they talk to him and introduce him to stuff, it's very clearly he's never been there before. Like, they go to the Trump winery in Virginia, and they're standing in there, and they're explaining to him how they make the wine. And he's like, and then later on, he's cheersing and drinking, and like, wow, this has so many notes. This has so many flavors. It's amazing.
He was married. He was married at the Trump winery to his amazing wife Laura. So
Right.
I guess he had been there before.
Right, but like he doesn't, but not in a business capacity.
No, of course not.
And that's all of them. He wanders in, and they always show him shaking hands with a line of employees, like the groundskeepers, and you know they just brought them in there for that 1 minute, and then they had to lead him down the fucking line and like have a fucking fish line tied to his wrist to make him be able to fucking shake all their hands. So it's all fake, and he does one bit of executive business in the thing, and that is they lead him into a room at the Trump magazine headquarters because he's got to pick the cover of the new Trump magazine. Trump magazine, of course, they did try to make an actual magazine that you could buy in newsstands. That failed. Now they have something they call Trump magazine that's just a thing that's at their resorts and stuff. But so they have 4 pictures, and they have them lied out on a table, and the woman who's in charge of it says, here's some ideas. And then she says, and we were thinking of going with this Chicago one. We think that would look very good, don't you think, Eric? And he goes, yeah, I think so. I think we do the Chicago one.
And then they high
and then
five.
they high five. It's like a child. It's like leading a child through a business. And like they're like, what are we going to do to show the business acumen of corporate genius Eric Trump? And the answer is lead him into a room and have him pick one of 4 pictures that they already had picked and clearly like led him to the one.
Well, the shot after that is he's at his desk, which has a minion on it. By the way, I'm not kidding.
That is true.
Yep.
We've got minions, folks.
And he's calling.
We got a minion at 12 o'clock.
He's calling into like some Wisconsin shitheads conservative radio show to like campaign for Scott Walker, clearly, and when he's on hold, the Top Gun,
like the
Danger
intro
Zone.
music is
Danger Zone.
Yeah. And Eric goes, "Wow, I like the music.
How do you get Kenny Loggins in my phone?
This is so cool. Like, he's such a fucking bird brain. Like the parts with him and Lara,
who
a fuck?
fucking cares? Yeah. I want to go back though to when he was talking about the values that and discipline that both his parents instilled in him. He said every day when he left for school when he was 6, Donald would say, "No drinking, no drugs, no smoking, and do your homework." And he was like, "I didn't even know what smoking was."
Yeah. Which clearly indicates that his father had no consideration for who he actually was. Or it was like, what are you, 14? I'm 9. Okay, whatever. Don't do any drugs.
I mean, that is
Wear a condom.
because when Eric is talking about things his dad has told him, Felix pointed out, again, it's like when we did the Dan Pfeiffer book, all of the glimpses you get of Obama low-key show his utter contempt for the people around him, in that he's tossing off like the most canned. He just says, son, you got to do what you love, which again is an incredible thing for like if you're in a family of billionaires to say. Like, you actually don't have to do anything. You could literally just not work. But I want to talk about my favorite line in the whole thing. He's talking about how when you work, a serious 7 to 5 job.
Woo, that's not even that long.
I mean, that's a full work day. 7
yeah,
to
but
5.
it's not crazy hours. Like, rich guys always say, "Oh, I work 100-hour weeks." He's basically like, "Yeah, no." And by the way, you're done at work at 5. You have plenty of time to do drugs.
So, and
You
he's
can
like,
do drugs at work.
Yeah.
and he says, so when you work a real job, it teaches you to grow up and it gives you discipline, and you don't have time or energy to go party and do drugs. And then he says this line. Half of the people I knew in New York turned out to be disasters. No disrespect to them.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
And
then-
so cool because I mean, that's the only like little flake of his dad in him, where like his dad's cool personality, where he's like, one of my best friends, but he's a complete loser and a failure, and he sucks, and everything he does fails. That's like Eric has a little bit of that, but it's also like easy for you to say when you were literally treated like a baby everywhere. Yeah. Like, you literally go into your office and people are like, what picture do you like, Eric?
And
I like the Chicago one.
And then after Eric says, yeah, like half of the people I knew were no disrespect to them, Maria asks him, she says, children of successful people usually aren't so successful. They don't have that fire in the belly. And then she sort of laughs and goes, so what happened here? And it's just like, yeah, what did happen here, Maria?
Genetically.
I'm thinking genetically, what caused this?
This
But, like,
absolute
again,
just nobody, zero, who is his entire CV is worked for father. Never did anything on his own. Nothing.
Well, I mean, I think the part with Lara is like, it's the best summary of Eric as a person, because it's just like, they're the two dullest fucking people that ever lived.
Yeah, they're sitting there. They're with their. The kids. It's not his fault, but they have a very ugly child. And they're sitting there on the floor with them, and they're just talking about what they like. And we like nature, and we love to be together in our house. And we
Felix said that the family interview was like recording census data.
Like, there are two adults live in this home with a child under 2.
Right. There's a part where like, she's like, we love coming to this house because it's big and it's not in the city, and it's great to get away from the city and be in the house. We love being with our kid. Like, their dog somehow has a blank expression on its face.
No, the dog. They had a baby in one arm and their dog in the other. The dog looked stuffed. It looked like his eyes were marbles or something. Yeah. The dog looked as stupid as them. They actually have a dumb dog.
It's
their
true.
Dumb family.
It's true what they say about how people's pets like resemble them, because this is the least personality I've ever. They're like, there are cop dogs who have far more personality.
You know what the
than
dog
this dog
looked like? It looked like one of those dogs that's head bobbles when you put it on like a car dashboard and its head just goes up and down. That's what their fucking dog looked like.
Well, what happens is the dog sort of it raises itself or lowers itself to the standard of the family. I mean, the dog showed up, looked around, and was like, okay, I have to put in zero effort here. This is great. I could just coast. Yeah. I forgot. There's one other thing where they show his business acumen and his value to the family, and that is when they're touring one of the absolutely hideous Trump properties. These things, these just sterile, awful. They look like an art museum in Boca Raton. just absolute shit. Just chintzy material,
Roman columns everywhere. Just the most bird brain. Like, damn.
There was a scene of him where it's supposed to be like emulating like the library or study of a great manor.
Yeah.
All the books clearly fake, just
made of chocolate.
just like it's like wallpaper basically. But in this big study and library, there are probably like half a dozen TVs all tuned to the Golf Channel.
Yeah. That's the real culture, Western civilization. Yeah. But so he's in one of the rooms, and it looks like shit. And he goes, "Yeah, when we were building this property together, I said we got to get the best beds. So I said to our people, we got to go to all our properties and we got to find the best beds." And so that was him trying to think of his contribution to the family. It's like, the reason I am entitled to 50% of the skimmed profits from a half dozen illegal Bulgarian casinos my dad's crooked friends have is because one time I said we should have nice beds.
He's just like, there is this part where Lara is talking about their first date where they didn't order food for 3 hours because they were talking so much, and it's like, what was that conversation?
Oh God, I can't even imagine.
I sometimes, one of my favorite things to listen to when I do activities is music. Oh my God, me too. The best thing about a restaurant is you can get your food and you don't even have to, you don't know where it comes from, but it comes out and you can get some food after that. You can even get a drink. Wow, this guy's smart. Like, it just, the blandest people I've ever seen. But again, this is like Alan Partridge. Like, the crew might as well have been making fun of him. And I think there has to have been like one guy in the crew who's like, look at this asshole. Like,
the only thing that could have made it better is if he just said to Maria Barton Finkaroma, let's get out of here. I know an amazing owl sanctuary. But I want to underscore, like, other than the things he says, my favorite thing about this that we're trying to communicate is how much footage there is of him pantomiming work and like being in Trump Tower, and there are so many shots of him just walking looking like an absolute asshole, just like so what do you do here, Eric? Yeah, I walk places, I put the phone to my head, I look at screens, I do a lot of looking at things, and it's just like this is what he does every day. He just looks at things, and then, as Matt mentioned, every property, they have to bring out the whole staff. Never seen this guy before, and he has to come in and give them the lecture like, you guys are doing an amazing job. You guys are doing the best job in the world. I see some of you maybe lost a few hairs, maybe even got a few gray hairs, but you're doing wonderfully.
Yeah, it's weird how you're aging so poorly, doing backbreaking labor with no health insurance. Anyway, back to my golden helicopter.
Yeah, it will make you a third worldist, really.
And yet, plenty of people are going to, like I said, I don't know how many people are going to watch this. Some of them are going to watch it and presumably enjoy it, which is really the whole thing, what I kept thinking. How could you get any pleasure out of this? Because I understand on a basic level what is activated in the reptilian teapot brain about most Fox programming. The blood and thunder stuff about immigrants, like the 2 minutes hate for all the evil Democrats, juicing all of their anxieties and getting them sexually aroused with a little bit of, a sexy Megyn Kelly clone with a mini
tits and teeth.
Yeah, with a mini skirt. I get that. And I understand that they now all are cult-like, psychotically devoted to the Trump family, and they worship them all. They think that they are like the Merovingian bloodline. But what are you getting out of this? Like, there's no political element, really. There's no bloody shirt. There's not really any sex appeal. I mean, you see Lara's feet a few times.
Wrong.
You see Lara's feet a few times. So
no, I'm talking about Eric.
If you're into that, there's a couple of feet shots. But it's just this idiot man-child talking about how much he enjoys eating dinner with his family.
And also, I want to stress, too, Maria Barton Finkaroma disappears for like long stretches of this for just essentially what is an advertisement for Trump properties.
Yes.
Where like Eric takes you a tour of the winery.
Yep.
He gives you a tour of like some other awful hotel property.
Right. Yeah.
And
you too can be part of this.
It was amazing.
It's great.
It was so good. And then we were like talking about like obviously they got to have a Don Jr. episode. They got to have an Ivanka episode.
The Capo di Tutti Capi.
We need a Jared episode.
Need a Jared episode.
There definitely will not be a Tiffany episode.
No way.
Which is a heinous oversight. We need more Tiffany, in my opinion.
So much more.
Yeah, but she's a wild card. They don't want to put her on camera. They don't know what'll happen.
Yeah, they don't know what she'll say.
She's gonna. One of these days she's gonna pull like a Charlize Theron and the Devil's Advocate moves and just like lose her shit in a public. She's gonna show up at like the State of the Union naked and covered in fucking runes or something.
Trump's like, all right, well, that's why I had 2 daughters. You have one. This is my dad told me this. If you have one daughter, the rune thing happens to them. You don't have another one. I have Ivanka, and Ivanka, Don't we love how she's never going to get covered in runes. We love it. She's never going to get stigmata. Ivanka will never be cursed by, the pact that I made with Satan. And it's great. More and more people are saying that, they're going to have 2 daughters. And they're calling me the 2-daughter president because the toughest man I'd ever seen in his life. He had 1 daughter 18 years ago, and he came to me with tears in his eyes, and he said, Don, I knock on wood, my daughter, she hasn't been accursed she hasn't been bleeding or naked in a public setting yet, but we just had another one because of what you said about the 2 daughters.
She's
and
fantastic.
It's great.
Yeah, no, you always
That's him talking.
She was born with a cowl over her face. She's gonna be fantastic.
No, you got
That's his testimony to Robert Mueller. Well, I can't do anything with this. You're innocent.
But I do hope they do have. I do want them to have a Jared episode, and I want it to be scored by klezmer music the entire time.
But again, we're like sort of talking about this overall though. Eric and Don Jr., but Don Jr. specifically. Has there ever been a dumber person in public life than Don and Eric? And we said no. You would have to go back to like inbred monarchy.
Yeah, we
to
said
find-
Wilhelm II is the last one.
No,
to
you
find
need
someone
somebody-
as stupid.
You
as
need
these
somebody
people.
who had when they were born had a 50% chance of getting hemophilia. You need somebody with that deep fucking Habsburg bloodline to get anyone this fucking stupid. It's really impressive. In the line of even like, because there have been plenty of presidential sort of fail sons and fail children and fail relatives who just sort of hang around like dingleberries, like Roger Clinton and Billy Carter, Patty Davis, all of them fucking geniuses compared to both of these dullards.
Yeah, and when we say public figures, for me personally, I don't even just mean like political. I mean I think Brian Silva is smarter than Eric and Don
Absolutely.
Jr. He's a musician.
Can you? I mean, Billy Carter. He fucking put his name on Billy Beer, which is a classic American thing. Like if fucking Eric Trump tried to capitalize on his name and did some disgusting energy drink that he got from fucking Ukraine and had contaminated Chernobyl water in it, and 55,000 people's hair fell out when they drank it.
Yeah, I mean, just what a family.
What a family. May they reign for 1,000 years.
They're all so hot.
They're all
like we said, Ivanka had all the plastic surgery to make her not look like Donald Trump, so she's less hot than Tiffany.
I was yeah.
The closer you look to Donald Trump, the hotter you are.
Yeah, dude, I used to want to fuck Ivanka. Now she looks nothing like her dad. No, thank you.
These guys, those guys, the Trump fans now, the death cult, they're thinking the way that Democrats used to about the Kennedys before their heads started exploding. They were like, dude, JFK. 8 years of JFK, then 8 years of RFK, then 8 years of Teddy. They're thinking that way. They're thinking Donald Jr., Eric, Ivanka. They're thinking 1,000-year Reich of these morons.
I mean, and it's not like the Kennedys were the sharpest tools in the
Right,
shed.
not at all.
But even Edward Kennedy, the fucking alcoholic, ended up having a successful Senate career. Imagine you just plop Eric in the Senate. What happens? What happened? Do we we ended up accidentally ceding half the territory of the U.S. to China, which actually would be a good move.
He accidentally refunds the Louisiana Purchase, and 2/3 of America would go back to France.
He would have a Chappaquiddick, but it would involve him locking himself in the trunk of his car and somehow going off the bridge.
They're like, yeah, it's the Trump curse. They're just so unlucky after they all jammed forks into electrical outlets. It's just so unlucky. How could it happen to anyone?
Oh, the tragic death of the president, the death of a president. Why would the Secret Service leave him alone in the Oval Office with that laundry bag?
So, in conclusion, do we know if Trump is dead or not yet?
Oh, yeah,
I
let's
haven't
check.
checked.
it out.
I don't think so. I think things would have blown up if they had.
Let's check in.
Again,
Let's check in with rogue White House staffer. They would know.
Just breaking news here: President still may or may not be dead. We'll bring you more updates.
It's
on
not
this.
trending, so I don't think it happened.
We'll bring you more updates on this as it happens tomorrow. Right now,
Yeah.
But so I guess Donald Trump not dead, but again, closing thoughts. What a family! What a streaming service!
Yeah.
Incredible.
Yeah.
Yeah,
One of the
sign
best.
Up. Everyone
Wonderful.
sign up. Everyone
Wonderful.
sign up. Let's all enjoy it. Let's have viewing parties for every show.
We love to see it.
Yeah.